Putin calls Trudeau an idiot, and Chrystia Freeland's getting nervous about people digging into her family history. So this is a video that's been circling around the internet today. Vladimir Putin in Russia commenting on what happened in Parliament just a few weeks ago as the parliamentarians all stood up and cheered for a World War II bad guy. Of course, the history goes that the World War II bad guys were fighting the other bad guys in Russia at the time, but we were allied with the bad guys in Russia, the communists in Russia, as they were fighting the bad guys in Germany. Now, anyone would have known this just in the introduction themselves. We saw Anthony Rota stumbling over his words as he was reading it out, as he's talking about the history of who the guy was and who he was fighting. Everyone's saying, how do you not see that? And most people saying that Rota was unaware of the situation, even though they threw him under the bus for this. But here's Vladimir Putin weighing in on the situation.
Мы относимся к Канаде, несмотря ни на что, с уважением, особенно к людям. Но если он не знает, что во время войны против России сражался Гитлер и его приспешники, то он идиот.
For those that were just listening in, he was saying essentially if they made the announcement and didn't know their history, that the people who were fighting for the funny mustache man in World War II, well then he's an idiot. And that's, I mean, we've all been saying this throughout Canada.
Он значит просто в школе не учился.
It means he just didn't study at school, he says. He has no basic knowledge.
А если он
But if he knows
что этот человек
that this
сражался
man
на
fought
стороне
for the
Гитлера
funny
и
mustache
называет
man and
его
calls him a hero in
героем
Ukraine
Украины и
and a
героем
hero of
Канады,
Canada,
то он негодяй.
then he's a villain.
Или так, или так.
Either he's this or that, says Putin in this. Now, people immediately take to the community notes to say this is not him. The video was cut off at the beginning. Vladimir Putin is actually referring to the Speaker of the Canadian Parliament, Anthony Rota, as an idiot. This is whom he is speaking about. Now, there are links that they give here, CBC and some other ones. Now, in these stories, yes, they say that he's talking about Anthony Rota, but they also have a cutoff video of their own, so there's no knowing. And so that's community notes. Apparently Vladimir Putin spends his time talking about the Speaker of the House in Canada instead of the person who runs Canada. I don't know, take that one with what you will, but of course, the Russians are trying to run their own propaganda campaign, just as our side's trying to run our own propaganda campaign. So it's never clear what's actually being said. But let's move on from this. More fallout. Canada's Governor General Mary Simon has apologized for top Canadian honor awarded to a former World War II bad guy soldier nearly 4 decades ago. It seems that we have a history in Canada of giving, the World War II bad guys prizes in Canada. This was the Order of Canada that was given to Peter Savarin, a former counselor of the University of Alberta, was given the Order of Canada in 1987. It has since emerged that Mr. Savarin served with the bad guys in the Waffen SS units. Holy cow, how is this happening in our country here? The apology comes a fortnight after a row in Canada's parliament over an invite to an elderly Ukrainian man who had fought with the bad guys in Germany at the time. And this is supported by BBC, but this article has also been widely published across the board here in Canada with this CBC, Globe and Mail, everyone reporting on this story. But yes, a formal apology from the Governor General in Canada for honoring a bad guy. Now, Chrystia Freeland is getting a little nervous as people are starting to look into her and her knowledge of history. Of course, she is a Ukrainian history buff. She's very active in the Ukrainian community, and she was asked recently, this is from Noe Chartier on Twitter, saying Freeland was just asked, given her knowledge of history, whether she knew Hunka was a bad guy from World War II veteran when honored in the House of Commons, since she was introduced as someone who fought for the Russians. Obviously, none of us understood, she says, squarely blaming former Speaker Rhoda, throwing him under the bus. Now, let's get into what she had to say. I'm going to have to speed this one up because she speaks so time-wastingly slow. It might be easier if I actually speed up the volume, or sorry, speed up the pace in which she's speaking.
Obviously, none of us understood. None of us recognized what was happening. And that compounds the very grave error. And that makes it really painful for all of us. I see my colleagues here also nodding. No one recognized what was going on. That is terrible. And it is terrible that it happened. And the former speaker, acknowledges his mistake and stepped down. But I'm just going to conclude by saying that, I think it's incredibly painful for everyone who was in the House at that time. A horrible moment, but it's not about us. For me, the real, the very real pain is that it's really, really hurt so many people in Canada, so many communities, starting with the Jewish community in Canada. That's awful. And it is terrible that this has damaged and harmed the brave people of Ukraine and the Ukrainian president, who we were so proud to welcome.
Was that an answer to the question? Absolutely not. She was asked about given her knowledge of history, whether she knew he was a World War II bad guy or not. Well, let's just dive into some of this. Would she have known? Well, here's Andy Lee. Oh, look, I found it's Chrystia Freeland's relatives again. What are the odds? Chrystia Freeland's uncle is Moroslav. I can't pronounce that. According to University of Manitoba Archives, Miroslav's father was Boris, a soldier that served in the Ukrainian Galician Division, or the World War II bad guy party of the Waffen SS. She didn't know who she was clapping for? Can you honestly believe that when you're given this kind of history? Now, here is also the guy who was the Attorney General, or the Governor General, just gave an apology for honoring back in 1987. The Honor of Canada, of course, went to this guy from one of Adolf Bye-Bye, bad guy, Waffen SS units to the sorry for I gotta dance around the language. It just is what it is. We're on YouTube. Counselor of the University of Alberta, topped off by civilian award for outstanding achievement and service. Chrystia Freeland was one of his assistants. They all knew they were honoring a World War II bad guy. That was their point. So here we go. Peter Savarin has retired as Chancellor of the University of Alberta. Mr. Savarin, the university's 12th Chancellor, played a major role in the establishment of the CIUS summer research projects. During the summer of 1986, CIUS sponsored a number of research projects from who? Miss Natalia Komiak and Miss Chrystia Freeland were employed as research assistants as part of it, and the article continues. Wow, there are some real links here, and how is it that she wouldn't know? Now, Blacklock's reporter is reporting that Attorney General won't commit to disclosing confidential list of 20 bad guys from World War II fugitives let into Canada. Is there more to learn? Virani asked reporters. Now, this is showing here that it may be, may it please your Excellency, by order in Council 1985, of the February 1985, I have been appointed commissioner and inquired into the matter of allowing alleged war criminals in Canada. I now beg to submit the following report. In view of the nature of this inquiry, my report is divided into two parts. Part 1, which is designed for publication. Part 2, which is destined to remain confidential. We are not allowed to know what's going on, but people are still digging. And as people dig, Chrystia Freeland is getting quite nervous. Rupa Subramanya on Twitter pointing out Chrystia Freeland, whose grandfather was a World War II bad guy collaborator, is asked pointedly about a report by a reporter how many veterans who fought with the bad guys are in Canada and how our government would respond to it. You'd think this is a fairly easy question to answer, yet she's visibly uncomfortable and doesn't answer his question. And again, I'm going to have to speed up the video because she just speaks in time-wastingly slow paces.
There are calls by B'nai B'rith to reopen a report by the Duchesne Commission so that Canadians can know how many veterans who fought with the Nazis are here in our country. Will the government do so, and what is your response to that?
I think, let me just start by reiterating, and I don't think it can be said too many times, how hurtful for so many people in Canada and around the world what happened was and has been and continues to be. As MPs, in our capacity as MPs,
remember this is sped up.
It's important for appropriate next steps in the House to be taken, and I think that is our immediate focus. And as a government, we're going to be very thoughtful about any further steps that need to be taken.
Yeah, so not answering the question, obviously, there is a clear history in Canada of harboring bad guys, it looks like. It's looking that way. And we Canadians want to get to the bottom of this because we don't want to be seen as a nation that harbors fugitives, people who committed war crimes in other countries and harboring them here in our country. Now, there's been calls from Poland to extradite Hunka as a war criminal and face prosecution for the things that he may or may not have done in that time. So we'll see what ends up happening. The story is still developing, but we're seeing clearly Chrystia Freeland is quite nervous about the fact that people are digging into this and what happened with her own family history. But hey, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think, and we'll be live tonight. Tune in. By the time you're watching this, we're probably already live. So go to the main channel, click the link down in the bottom. It's to the main channel. You'll see us live. We stream live every Friday at 9:30 Eastern. And this week, special guest, the best damn roofer. So check that out. We'll see you in the live stream. And of course, keep on trucking.